So what does a day in recovery look like? So I've been asked a few questions about, firstly recovering from alcoholism and the key things that you need to do to recover, but also what you do day in, day out when you're in recovery to stay in recovery. And there's a few fundamental basics that are really important to adhere to. So to have a really good morning routine is very important. So in an ideal, I'll give you, in an ideal world, you would start the day waking up with the sunrise, with some visualization while your brain is still in that waking state to envision a bright, sober, wonderful future full of abundance, love, everything that you're looking for. You do some meditation. You might do some journaling or some breath work. Depends on what your thing is. Follow that by exercise and a green juice or something that is, because we want to start off the day nurturing mind, body, and spirit. So really good, healthy routine. And you can add in journaling or no journaling, meditation or breath work. You choose what you do. In an ideal world, also throughout the day, you do work where you're in your creative genius, you're in your talents, you're doing things that light you up from the inside, any kind of purposeful work. Also, if the work itself isn't particularly purposeful, finding something within it. If you're serving coffee, you're making someone smile, you're bringing them caffeine. Find the purpose, find the reason, find the gratitude in what you're doing. Gratitude, another important thing. Now, gratitude isn't just a list that you do at the end of the day. It's a lifestyle. So you need to incorporate gratitude into your day. So just stopping and thinking, this cup of tea is lovely. This breakfast is really yummy. And what a beautiful day it is. And aren't I lucky to have all the financial resources I need to get to work today? Just being grateful for, we can sit in victim mode, look at what does the world owe us? What are we missing? Everything else is better for other people. Or we can shift our perspective to not just what do we take, but what can we give? What can we give to this world? How can we help others? How can we be grateful for all the things that we have in our life? So that attitude, that fundamental attitude shift throughout the day is good. While you're starting to get into that gratitude attitude, have a gratitude buddy, like an accountability buddy, and you write a list of 3 things and why you're grateful, because it's the why that's really important. Not just anyone can just run through a list, that doesn't hit your heart and your soul. You need to really anchor into why you're grateful. So any good day in recovery is going to have a lot of movement. It's going to have a lot of connection. It's going to have time meeting with others. And this is why I find AA or NA can be good, because you've got community. You're dropping into deep, meaningful conversations with people who get it. You're in an environment where you're honest and you're not judged for that. That is in itself very healing. So if you can add in a meeting, 1 a day at the start, or 1 a week if it's not really your thing. You find your balance once you've got, say 6 months in recovery and you're solid. But I'm giving you an average day in recovery when you've got, say, plus 6 months sobriety up your belt. So we've got ideally work that you enjoy, really thinking about how you get there, how you get home, minimizing stress and anxiety. If you know there are certain things that give you stress and anxiety, plan to take a little bit of extra time to get there. Just think, really what I'm talking about is bringing a level of mindfulness and intentionality into your day. As opposed to being, and this starts with the morning routine, we're not living from a place of reaction or fear, but living from a place of love and intention and mindfulness. So really do think about, and while you get going with this, start with journaling, to kind of write everything down and start looking at how you're living your life, how you're showing up, how you want to live your life, and how you want to make changes. there's going to be another big separate video on a really key piece here where we get a values aligned life. Because if you want to stay in sobriety and stay in really solid mental health, then you're going to need to be living on purpose, living intentionally, living aligned with your values. Now, this may sound like hard work, but it's not. These are all things that make your life so much more wonderful and joyful and enjoyable. So back to the daily routine. Really good to have a routine at the start of the day and at the end of the day. It's also very conscious of like your sleeping habits, because ideally we're going to be sleeping at 8 hours a night, getting a good amount of water, eating whole food every day, healthy food that's not processed, that hasn't traveled too far to get to your plate. We don't need to be like really fanatical about this. Just work with what you've got, do the best with what you can. Your attitude is more important than anything else. So really that, gratitude, kindness, self-compassion, being in the moment, moving. If you get ruminative thoughts, instead of trying to think your way out of that, the thinking that gets you, the level of consciousness that gets you into a problem doesn't get you out of it. So we want to move, dance, a good day in recovery. You might put a song on, you'll be learning, put a podcast in there every day, put a song on in the morning or night, eat good food with people that you care about, having conversations, wind down, have no white light in the last hour, be reading a good book. It's an average day in recovery, just good start, good finish, nature, exercise, good food, good people, connection. That's really, really important one. And that's why I say, fellowship and community can be good for that. Doesn't resolve complex trauma. I'm going to do other layers. This is just kind of your average day, like the optimum day. We're going to do one on that, and that's going to also include some professional help. But this is just your average day in recovery when you've got about 6 months up.